The South Africa Vision trip really was born out of a dream and a passion and a hope. When I was in divinity school, I had classes under Dr. Peter Story. He was one of the bishops during the apartheid, and he was also the first chaplain to Nelson Mandela when Mandela was imprisoned at Robben Island. And so those connections just continued to be a part of my life. Part of my role as Director of Mission Pathways for the Western North Carolina Conference is to find ways to connect with missions and with people globally across the world in ways that we haven't before.
When we landed in Cape Town, Peter Story, our host there, the first thing he said to us was, "Welcome to the town, the city of two cities." What he was meaning was we saw the rich and the poor and the two extremes of that. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
When we went to Khayelitsha is a place that I believe it's the highest murder capital in the country. When we went to this place and we looked out upon these shacks, I mean, not even shacks, there was porta toilets that 30 families had to share one. But we saw hope and ministry and life in the midst of that.
Somehow or another, we must be the church that Christ created, and that is to be in relationship, engagement with the poor. We must stop being country clubs and stop being self-serving, but to leave the walls of our church, to go out where Christ is moving.
Everywhere we went, we saw courageous people that the church as a whole has taken this Jesus stuff so seriously that they are stepping out and doing whatever it takes to be on the side of the oppressed and the marginalized. And so my big takeaway was just that courage and doing whatever it takes to be on the side of the poor, the people that Jesus was obviously for as we read the Gospels.
Part of the purpose of this trip truly was for us to go over and to meet people face to face and to define ways to connect the body of Christ here in our churches to the body of Christ in South Africa.
I think what they can benefit from and what we can benefit from is long-lasting relationships where we can keep learning from each other, empower and encourage each other, so we're all working towards the same goal of making disciples of Jesus Christ.
As Americans, we have a tendency of always doing. Not always, but there's a tendency when we say missions is that we have something to do. Maybe at this moment in history, it's our turn to just listen, to just be, to just learn from our brothers and sisters of South Africa.
One of the things that we talked about is bringing teams together that cross cultural lines. We know that we can't take loads of people over to South Africa, and we know that we can't bring all of South Africa to us, but how can we engage in ministry side by side? And so we were looking into a pastoral exchange program, but we didn't want it to be just for the sake of exchange. It needed to have purpose. And so what we are hoping and what our dream is that we will have about 6 pilot churches from our conference, and our pastors will go over for 8 weeks. And hopefully we'll have some grant money that will enable some lay folk to go for a few of those weeks and spend time side by side with the pastor and the congregation there working together. Really, this is just the beginning. We don't know. When we came back from the trip, we weren't sure how it was going to unfold. And since then, some legs of the vision have come together, and there's so many opportunities to be involved in so many different ways to explore ministry together with South Africa. And we're excited about that. So I just invite you to pray for this journey and to ask questions and to get involved. You don't have to travel all the way to South Africa to be a part of what God is doing.